Hello again. Tonight I have a bit of an impromptu review because I ran into these beauties at my local Target. This is wave one of the Power of the Primes Deluxes that were apparently not supposed to be out till next month, but you know, distribution's always fun. So yeah, I mean, here we got Dreadwind, Swoop, Slug, and Jazz. So two of them are obviously Dinobots. Dreadwind is part of the whole Dreadwind, Darkwing duo from G1. Jazz needs no introduction. And yeah, so we're gonna something a little different. I don't normally start these off with the figures in package like this, but I just got them. The timing was right, so yeah, I was able to keep my impatience at bay a little bit. So you know, let's kind of get a look at what these packages have to offer. You know, typical character art in the back, the figure laid out with little twist ties and all. Well, twist ties, but plastic tags. I don't even know what you call them. Got him contorted in some really uncomfortable yoga positions here. You can see he's got, where is it? Can't really see it. All right. See, he's got a little character card back there. We'll take a look at that. On the side here, you can see a little teaser shot of the Starscream combiner that's coming down the road. We don't know the name of the combiner yet. Let's see, back, you have a little multilingual blurb about Dreadwind, kind of showcasing the play pattern of adding the Titan Masters, the Prime Masters to their armor, advertising the three that are supposed to be coming in this wave. Yeah, pretty standard Generations, you know, style packaging. Swoop, showing Volcanicus on the side, along with pretty much the same thing. You'll notice on the packaging he's got pretty noticeably different colors from the final toy, and this was something that confused people for a bit when they first unveiled this toy, is that some images had it in this pretty much all red and gray color scheme, which was how the original Swoop toy looked and how he was portrayed in, I believe, in the Marvel comics. And the final product actually has him in more of a cartoon accurate blue, which personally I like a little more. Sets him apart a bit from the rest of the Dinobots and just looks better. I love that vivid blue they use for the chest. Jazz, showing the Elita 1 combiner that's coming later in the toy line. Also unnamed as of yet. This blurb. And then lastly, Slug. Another shot of Volcanicus. Slug's info there. Alright, I've got these guys out of package in their vehicle/beast modes because I always start my reviews that way. I know I've kind of spoiled the robot modes by showing them in package, but whatever. So again, you know, you have Dreadwind, Swoop, Slug, and Jazz. So we will start with the yep, my camera's doing that right now. Well, the wonders of modern technology. All right, so I think I'm going to start with the Decepticon in the group. So let's go. So this is Dreadwind in his jet mode. It's got these really, really nice colors that just evoke like a 1980s action figure. The turquoise and the purple. See, so got a little blaster here. He's got his multi-purpose block that we will explore here. Other side, typical jet, I can see everything underneath situation. He is actually a very, very heavy retool of Combiner Wars Skydive. Not too much is carried over. Yeah, like the front like shin pieces here. I think the nose cone's the same. Don't quote me on that. Maybe these. A lot of this is brand new stuff though. He's actually a lot more complex than Skydive is, thanks to a lot of shifting parts and stuff that we'll notice for the transformation. Oh, yeah, if you want to like take this thing off, then obviously it comes off. Oops. So you can just have like plain old jet mode. You can also mount this up here as per the instructions. I don't have a little top mounted cannon thing. Like the little intakes on the shoulders there. It's pretty neat. This is Dreadwind's robot mode. Does a very good job of evoking the original character, especially in the head there. It's got the prominent shoulders. This figure kind of drew a lot of criticism when it was first revealed from mostly collectors. Biggest reason is because they noticed pretty quickly that this was a Combiner Wars retool. And after the serious mold fatigue of Combiner Wars, people were a little not crazy about, seeing these molds pop up again. For me personally, I feel like they've done enough different with this guy. They've changed and added enough parts to where he is distinct enough to where I don't feel like, oh god, another aerial bot. But that's the way I feel about it. Other people feel differently. So we mentioned the little multi-purpose block here. And I'm just going to kind of show you the many different things this can do. So the first thing that's advertised on the toys and was advertised, around release is that these can all attach to the Deluxe classes as like a form of chest armor. For Dreadwind here, he actually has a panel that flips down. You have to kind of push it hard to get it all the way down there. Revealing a little hole that you can plug this 5mm peg into. Assuming you're not awful at everything. Alright, there we go. Just gotta bring these in. Alright, so it just attaches like that. It's supposed to be a chest armor. Looks kind of goofy. They all kind of do. Gives them kind of this like beer belly look to them. But kind of the main point of this is it's supposed to kind of allude to a Power Master gimmick, which is appropriate for Dreadwind because his original figure was a Power Master. So this little plug right here is just kind of a filler block. And you take it out. Right there. Reveals this little hole, and that shape should look familiar because it's the same shape as previous line's Titan Masters, but in this toy line they've been swapped out with what are called Prime Masters. They're built the same way as far as their body's concerned, but instead of having a faceplate on their back, they have like a little glyph, a little symbol. And you just put in there the symbol facing out, and that's supposed to be the Prime Master basically powering this guy up. So, that's option one. This was the one that was shown off the most, but once you look at the instructions, you actually start to see there's quite a few different things you can do with these. So the other option, instructions have you rotate these back. Doesn't really matter too much, I guess. You can have them wield these like weapons, and you can see these bits here are molded to kind of look like a gun barrel of sorts, or a double gun barrel. So he can use it like a weapon, much the same vein as the Combiner Wars figures wield with their hand-foot guns. And that little plug that goes on the top there isn't completely without purpose. If you look at it, they actually went through the trouble of molding this thing to be a small little auxiliary blaster. So you can always choose to wield that if, say, you know, you want to stick a Prime Master in there. It's not just a useless piece that you cast aside. I should probably flip his chest panel back up so it's like goofy. And you know, if you want to make sure he's holding all of his weapons in some form, you can like plug this in here. Now he's armed to the teeth. So I mentioned at the beginning that he's part of a duo. The original Dreadwind combined with another jet Decepticon that was called Darkwing. And they would combine like front to back to form this larger jet called Dreadwing, which is actually separate from the G2 Dreadwing character. This toy can do that. There is a Darkwing coming. He has been renamed Blackwing, presumably for trademark reasons. I don't know if it's because of like Disney's Darkwing Duck or whatever, but they changed the name, but that name change won't affect their combined form. Still works out to be Dreadwing, so that's cool. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I've seen a couple pictures of it. I'm not totally sure how they combine exactly, if it has something to do with his combiner port or what have you. But it is something that's coming down the road. It's not part of this wave. It'll be, pretty sure it's part of wave 2. Which, considering this wave isn't even supposed to be out yet, it's probably going to be a bit of a wait there. Here's his character card. It's got his really nice artwork on there. And one common theme you'll notice with the character art for this new toy line is that it has a lot of this very colorful, like, energy crackling going on in the background, along with the different symbols that actually represent the 13 original primes. And you see here, he's got a symbol here for, I think it's Amalgamus? Yeah. Amalgamus Prime symbol in the corner with like a yellow, I guess is Amalgamus' color. And then here on the back, you see this kind of little wheel with the Amalgamus symbol like highlighted, selected. And it calls him Amalgamus Dreadwind. So I guess it's following this format of like, maybe like Prime name, Transformer name together. And then it shows like the unique power Dreadwind gets when he combines with Amalgamus. Takes ominous airborne forms. Turns out that these cards are actually randomly assorted. Oh man, there's some wear on there. That sucks. What a shame. Anyway, so like my Dreadwind came with this Amalgamus little symbol here, but other ones will come with one of the 13 other primes, and they're randomly packed, so you know, you could get any one of them. It's an interesting move, I guess. It's kind of weird, because considering you would have to buy, like... Well, I don't think they do the 13th prime, but so 12 of the 13 anyway. So you have to buy like 12 different Dreadwinds to get every variation of the card, which... I mean, I'm a big collector, but God, I'm not that hardcore. So you're probably going to see on eBay a whole bunch of listings for Power of the Primes Deluxes, like sans their collector card for people that just really have to have them all. I'm not going that far. Plus, you know, my wife would probably kill me.
Totally would.
Alright, second character we're going to cover is Swoop. It's the Dinobot's trusty pterodactyl, which, little bit of trivia, is not actually a dinosaur. It's actually just really a big flying reptile. So, you know, fun fact for everybody that was really upset when the aerial bots gained a helicopter member and like, oh, unclean, impure. Yeah, well, this isn't a dinosaur, so get over yourselves. All right, so the way I have him set up, you know, is just kind of having him store everything. You don't have to keep the sword under his lower jaw, because it looks ridiculous. Nope, that sounds bad. But yeah, you know, very much resembles the original toy. One thing that you may be able to see here, his beak isn't done in like gold plastic. It's actually clear plastic that is painted from the underside there, and it gives us a layered look, which actually emulates how the original Dinobot toys looked. They didn't just have like gold chrome or anything. You know, you can see he has his little multi-tool on his back, which can come off. This one actually attaches these little pegs, not the 5mm one. So yeah, you know, his jaw opens and shuts. This right here doesn't stay on, doesn't like lock in, so it does this a lot when I don't mean him to. But he does have little feet. You can actually have him stand up. You flip his feet down. Bring this part. Oh, not the whole thing. There's that part down there. And yeah, you can have him standing, looking all ominous and cool if you want to do that. This is Swoop's robot mode. Very sleek looking. Looks a lot like the original Swoop. They did a good job just kind of recreating this. He's got his little prominent head crest that he's known for. Comes with his sword. One criticism that people are kind of giving the Dinobots is that whereas the original figures, they all had a sword and a gun, the ones in this toy line either have a sword or a gun. So they do feel a little cheaped out, and I'm not going to lie, I kind of feel the same way. I guess you can argue that, well, this is a gun, so he still has a sword and a gun, kind of. Sure. I don't know. I didn't have the original figures, so I probably have a little bit less of an attachment to that certain aspect of him. But yeah, he looks really great. He's got some good paint apps here. I do like the blue chest. I am glad that they did decide to go with the cartoon accuracy this time. Because I know Hasbro's really been pushing like original toy accuracy over the cartoon. But in this case, I think this just is good. Kills the uniformity of their combiner a little bit, but Swoop looks better for it. My guy, his head does not, it won't just go straight. It's cocked to the side a little bit like that, and I cannot get it to really do otherwise. And I don't really want to force it and break the thing. Probably be hard pressed to replace it right now. It's really neat. His little block thing again becomes armor as expected. This one, instead of pegging him with a 5mm like Dreadwind did, he pegs him with these little thumb tabs here. There's actually little slots in the side of his dino head. Kind of hard to see, but they're there. You just go and you line him up, squeeze him, lock him in there. So he's got his chest armor. And just like Dreadwind, he can choose to wield this in his hand like a gun, pull that out, wield that like a gun if he wants to. Here's Swoop's character card. He has the Soulless Prime symbol attached to this particular one. Soulless Swoop. Forges devices to help others fly. It's actually pretty neat. So yeah, one thing that seems to be common with the character art in these in this new toy line is that if the character has a bestial alt mode, the art tends to depict their alt mode. Something I've noticed looking at previews and stuff. So now we come to a fan favorite character, Slug, formerly known as Slag. Fun history behind that name change, but not going to get into it here. Yeah. Looks very nice. Really evokes the original toy, just with a lot more detail and everything. Carries over that same layered, clear plastic with the gold underneath. His mouth moves a little bit, I mean, it'll move a lot of it if you want to, but then it looks weird because it looks like you're breaking his jaw. They kind of unlock his head so that he can kind of take some slightly different poses. Doesn't turn side to side or anything, but can look up and down a little bit. Obviously, you can mount that on his back, mount this on his hips, or on any little hole that you want to. I know another thing that people complain about with the Dinobots, a lot of people don't like how small 4 out of the 5 Dinobots are. They're Deluxe class, which is kind of by necessity because of the whole, universal combiner gimmick that they've integrated into them this time. And I can understand it, I know in fiction they've been portrayed as going up against the likes of like Devastator, who's an absolutely huge combiner. So I get that scale's an issue, but I don't know. I mean, if you're not used to scale issues in Transformers by now, you just haven't been paying attention. Honestly, for me, it's not a big enough deal to warrant complaining. And the fact that we get a Dinobot combiner after decades, hell, back in the day, people used to complain that they didn't combine. And then now they combine and people are still complaining. Fandoms, right? All right, here we got Slug's robot mode. Very, very nice looking. I love the shiny gray that they have here, almost like a dark silver or a gunmetal. Yeah, I mean, the details are really nice on this guy. He folds up, you know, pretty nicely. His robot head, despite the fact that it's encased in his, you know, upper dino jaw, does actually rotate some small degree. So he can move around in there. It's not completely static. Some somewhat dynamic poses. It comes with his classic gun, and as you may have guessed from the 5mm hole there, that's where his chest armor goes. You just plug it in, put these guys down. It's actually the loosest connection out of all of them. Just kind of spins around in there. It's also a really loose connection in his dyno mode too. It's just a trend with him, I guess. But yeah, he's very nice looking. I'm excited to have, you know, my first G1 Slag toy, so I like him. Now we have Slug's character art. It's got him just kind of marching in, breathing fire, with something interesting behind him. Looks like, I don't know, maybe a space bridge or something. It's got the Amalgamous Prime symbol like my Dreadwind does. Amalgamous Slug. Sounds like an alien of some sort. Alright, finally we have Jazz. This toy's, some people love it, some people hate it. I think overall it's a good Jazz. It, you know, kind of has some animation model accuracy to it as far as like not having car doors on his shoulders or anything, which you'll see. But some people that are, you know, a little more purist in their desire for Transformers, they're upset because his vehicle mode really doesn't match the original one. I was supposed to like plug in there. Not sure. Anyway, you know, it's not the smooth, sleek race car that it was. It's much more angular looking. So, you know, he's got this on here, and this actually, his block looks like it's meant to be there because you kind of have these like afterburner looking things on there, so it looks like it's meant to actually give him some sort of boost of speed. Obviously guns mounted there. Not the most exciting vehicle mode out there. Again, it's just kind of like a brick with wheels, but it looks nice. The colors are nice. Good contrast there between the white and the different blues and the reds. Alright, we got his robot mode. Classic Jazz look. It's got the hood chest. Got his head with the two little nubs, the visor. Classic pistol. Yeah, he definitely has the more, you know, cartoon accurate silhouette compared to the old, was I believe the Reveal the Shield figure that is, you know, pretty highly praised. That one was a little more original toy accurate. But this guy is very blocky looking, especially in the arms here, which doesn't really suit most portrayals of the character. You know, it tends to be a very smooth looking robot. One thing that's interesting is that he actually does have wrist articulation. Like, his fists do rotate, but they are severely limited in their movement by the little panel back here. Unfortunately, they didn't engineer this in a way to like fold back, which I think was a huge miss on their part, because that makes the toy look very cheap. That makes this look like, you know, something that would be like a smaller scale or a, you know, robots in disguise, you know, type warrior class figure. Yeah, this is probably, as much as I like Jazz as a character, is probably my least favorite figure out of the wave because it just comes off feeling very cheap. You know, if it weren't for this clear plastic, I would just immediately assume this was like some RID warrior class. So yeah, not super crazy about it. But if you don't already have a Jazz, you know, this is an opportunity to get a G1 Jazz. And he combines with stuff, so, you know, yay combiners. I love combiners. I'm going to have to do a video on just how much I love combiners one day. Alright, his incorporation for his engine block thing. It actually connects with little thumb pegs, and they go in these little indents in his grill right there. And this one's a little finicky. Gotta make sure it goes in there just right. Make sure it's not all crooked. And yeah, that's how he gets his beer belly. His looks really silly because it's so far detached from the rest of his torso, unlike the other characters whose, yeah, theirs look somewhat like they're meant to be there. So, you know, poor Jazz. Definitely the weakest of the wave. Alright, this is Jazz's character card. Got him charging the battle, looking much smoother than his actual toy does. He's got the Vector Prime symbol on his, which gives him the amazing power of traveling through time to experience all music. Yep. Autobot secret weapon right here. Experiencing all music to win the war. So here we have the whole wave in their robot modes, just so you can see them all together. Interesting little grab bag of characters, right? You got 2 Dinobots, 1984 car guy, and a relatively obscure Decepticon jet Power Master. Overall, I like this. You know, it shows a lot of good promise of what's to come with the Power of the Primes line. Again, Jazz sucks. Sorry, Jazz. I love you, but you suck. Yeah, so now that we've looked at them all, you know, individually and their alt modes, robot modes, we are actually going to take a look at how these guys look in their respective limb modes, because they are all combiners. Their little accessories there only convert to hands. They scrap the whole hand-foot gun design from Combiner Wars, which has the advantage of not having these really small feet that make posing and balancing very difficult for the combiners and have no like ankle tilt whatsoever. The downside is that if you don't actually have one of the Power of the Primes Voyagers, which is at this point barely anybody here in the US has, you got to borrow feet from somebody else if you're building a combiner out of these guys. So yeah, for this purpose, I'm going to be pulling out my Baldigus just because he's so gold and shiny and amazing. And I haven't had a chance to show him off on camera yet, so you'll see him in a bit. So let's get started with that. This is Baldigus for anyone that wanted to see what he looks like before I go and mix him up. Yeah, really cool combiner. Pricey, because it's a Japanese import, but I like showing him off a bit. I'd like to do a review for him, hopefully sometime soon if I get a chance, once I've knocked out all the other ones that I'm super backlogged on right now. Alright, so here they are in the first configuration. Got the Dinobots on bottom, other guys on top here. Alright, so like I mentioned, these guys don't have feet of their own, so I had to borrow Baldigus's feet for now. So yeah, these are the new hands. The way they look. Definitely some pros and cons. Pro, you can actually open their fingers all the way. They're not stuck in like a crab claw position all the time. Unlike they were with Combiner Wars, because like clearance issues, the fingers didn't open all the way there. Big downside is that these hands have 2 thumbs. I don't know if we can see it, but yeah. Bring them in here. Yeah, they have 2 thumbs. So they have a total of 6 fingers. So apparently combiners are all now polydactyl. Unfortunately, there's really no way to like tuck away or hide the extra thumb somewhere. You could pop it off, you know, if you're really all about the aesthetics, because they are on ball joints and they do come out. But for, the sake of longevity of the toy. I'm not going to go popping things out of ball joints over and over again. It's not incredibly noticeable, for most poses, but it does bug me a bit. I wish they could have engineered these in a way to where you can hide a thumb. But yeah, they function much the same way. They have like a little 5mm hole in the thumb area so that they can, grasp weapons and things. And they're also designed in a way to where they'll be able to combine with the Voyager class's foot pieces. They attach to the back of the foot piece just to give some added like heel support, make the foot a little bigger. Or at least in some cases, I know Volcanicus does it, they can attach to the torso in some way to like beef it up. So you kind of have some options there. They definitely give you a lot of flexibility in how you want to go about doing these. I can't wait to actually get a Voyager class in the series just to really see how the whole package comes together. I'm going to go ahead and swap the guys around now so you can see how they look the other way around. Alright, lastly, we have their alternate configuration for their different limb modes. You may have noticed that Swoop is holding his sword. It's because there doesn't really seem to be anywhere to store it in his arm mode, which is a shame. But, oh well. Something I noticed with Slug, his instructions for both his arm mode and his leg mode show his like front feet pointing, toward his like stomach area in a more, natural position. But what I noticed is there are actually like recesses on the inside of his legs here that you can't see, and some tabs on his sides there that are actually meant to plug into each other. So looks like they kind of overlooked that with the instructions, but his legs do actually secure to his body. So something to take note of, if you're ever transforming this guy. Yeah, pretty standard fare. We're used to seeing combiner limbs by now. I think Jazz looks pretty solid as a leg there. Dreadwind kind of looks like Dreadwind kind of just looks like a hodgepodgey mess of parts. But, with different designs, you're going to get varying levels of success in different modes. All right, so yeah, that pretty much wraps everything up. It's exciting to be reviewing these toys a lot sooner than I expected. As soon as I got them home, I started setting up so I can record this and just show them off to you guys, give everyone kind of a sneak peek of what's coming down the pike. Definitely start checking your targets if you're trying to get a hold of these early. Yeah, mixed feelings about, the new hand gimmick as far as how successfully it pulls different things off. Point out the pros and cons of it already. Mixed feelings on the character designs themselves. The Dinobots are great. A lot of originality went into coming up with new, intuitive ways to create the classic designs while outfitting them with, combiner capabilities. Jazz, again, probably my least favorite out of this wave. Maybe he'll grow on me over time. We'll see. And really, I'm just eager to get my first Voyager for the new toy line and see how well these really go together. I'll start doing, once I get the complete combiner teams for each, Dinobots and Terracons and all that, I'll do a separate review for their combined modes. Alright, one thing to point out before I go. The Dinobots, you notice, have a uniform color scheme with their little hand parts. Certain other characters, like Dreadwind here, have very individualized hand pieces. This matches his color scheme. And for the bots that don't seem to have their own devoted combiner team, this isn't really an issue because they're kind of a mix and match thing anyway. But where this really is going to stand out is with the Terracons, because each of them have one of these done up in their own individual colors, which is going to look kind of silly once you actually put them together to make Abominus, because all of his, hands and everything will be different colors. So, I don't know. Seems like a bit of an oversight to me. I think, in the case of combiner teams, their little extremities should all match for uniformity. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here. I really hope you guys enjoyed, this early look at the new Power of the Primes toys. Let me know what you think of them in the comments. Let me know, if you're going to be picking these up, or if you don't like them, point out any criticisms with the toys. And I will see you all another day.